Greetings, this is Tarot Illumination. This is part of a series on the North Node transit, North Node through Aries, July 2023 to January 2025. I felt obliged to put it up because quite a few people asked me about all this stuff. So I'm kind of going back to really old school Tarot Illumination from four years ago or so. This one is for Virgo types, okay? Please, before you watch this one, I highly recommend watching the primer video that goes and underlays all the other videos in the series per sign. And it's called Aries North Node. It's about the whole thing. This video is specific for Virgo types, but it would really help if you watch the big picture video for the whole experience, okay? Preferably before you watch this one. I mean, it's okay to watch afterwards, but I think it would be so much more helpful if you watch it in advance. Okie doke, so let's dig right in. Greetings, dear Virgo types. So this is the North Node in Aries, like we said. It's an 18.5-year cycle to go from here to here. 1.5 years in each sign. Here, 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 and so on. So in your situation, we're putting Virgo on the horizon here. First house, the house of self, the house of you, your identity. And you'll see that the transit crosses your second house and 8th house. So from my perspective, I gotta tell you, this looks awkward. Perhaps really uncomfortable. Each journey is going to be different for each person. You know, some things are quite harmonious, but in this case, now I'm not saying this because you're not born with this. I'm just talking about a transit, and maybe this is going to cross some of your own or conjoin with some of your own planets. Who knows? If you want to, you can book a private reading. We'll go deep into it, but for the time being, let's just focus on the essentials here. So the South Node is the transiting South Node is going through your second house of value, your self-worth, your values and your belief systems, your money, your stuff, your things, the things that you love, the things that you cherish, the things that you've worked for and earned and own. Money, hard money, things like assets, gold bars, coins, tools, gadgets, land, houses, cars, where you own the titles. You own outright, okay? However, with the Libra vibe here, it might be that everything I just described is all contingent upon relationships, or perhaps one or two very significant relationships between you and a significant other. Now, that might be beautiful in its own way. You might love them, they might love you, or there might be people who love you and care about you, you care about them, and so on. But can you see how that can put you in a very precarious position where your sense of self-worth, your value, your values, your belongings, your stuff, your things are all in a default setting of, it's like what happens when people get married. Like it's the merger of resources, and with that being a default setting, it's almost like you never have a chance to delineate or define or discover what it's like to be fully in charge of your own resources, okay? And so what we're asking here is to give yourself permission to deliberately elect, or select, or reject anyone or anything with whom you want to relate, or with whoever wants to relate with you, before you commit. Okay? So over here, this is the second house of your stuff, your money. This is the 8th house of other people's money, other people's assets, other people's resources, other people's messes, other people's deep soul energy. So when you take the things that you have of value, let's go to real basics about Scorpio, Pluto, 8th house. Let's say you have stuff of value. Let's say that's your DNA. And you're naturally defaulting with like people or significant others in your life that are there in a sort of, let's say, reflex way. In other words, they just sort of happen. Like, well, we sort of fell in love, and this and that happened, and we've always done everything together. And you start to realize after a while, oh, wait a minute, what about me? What about me? Why am I always the one that's creating harmony and balance in my life, my world, and relationships in order to maintain integrity and authenticity with my stuff, my beliefs, my values, my resources, my skills, my self-worth? That's it. That's absurd. Why wouldn't I have the right to have that as my default setting anyway? Where I don't have to filter everything through a relationship or another person. And that might feel like a very weird new concept to you. If this is your default setting, like in past lives, you might have spent many lifetimes in complete merger with a significant other, like marriages, forced marriages, or abusive marriages, or relationship dynamics that were forced upon you. And because you wanted to stay, in harmony and balance, you just kind of put up with it. And you just thought, well, I guess that's how the world works. And now you're realizing, wait a minute, I have a right to be me. I have a right to be completely my own person. Even in the context of a relationship, I don't have to dissolve completely into the other person except by my choosing. And so instead of just being this way by default, what about being this way where there's you in all your integrity, and then there's potential others out there? So for example, let's take the subject of sex, marriage, and making babies, because that's very simple to understand with the 8th house. There's you. Let's say you are at an age and desire where you want to breed, make a baby, fall in love, and all that kind of stuff. Or maybe it happens through a very ugly situation, or maybe it happens very romantically, or maybe formalized in a marriage, and that's the point of the marriage, or whatever it is. But let's say there's you and there's a significant other, and you go through sexual congress and you merge, and your DNA does this and goes, and another version of DNA comes out, which isn't you and it's not them. It's its own complete thing. You did that, and you did that with another person. So my issue here is that, was that conjugation by instinct, just default behavior, simply because you are living off hormones and your body told you, well, I better have sex with them, or they said they needed to have sex with me, so we just did it. And, I just wanted to be a good friend. And then you realize, what the hell what was I thinking? So you get to a point where, wait a minute, before we get into this whole idea of relationships and merging resources, how about the idea of you, dear Virgo type, exercising your right to be fully independent and integrated before engaging in any kind of merger of resources, for example, like marriage or business, or putting all your money into someone else, or some kind of investment scheme, or savings accounts or retirement accounts, where the outcome of that is heavily contingent on these other people, these other entities. What about creating a situation where you put yourself first and you elect with whom you are going to share and merge your resources? In other words, do you really want to have sex with that person? Because what happens if it does make a baby? Do you really want to, are you aware of what that really means? In other words, are you behaving off default reflex behavior from youth? Or are you acting as a mature, highly integrated, self-actuating adult? Okay, so the thing is, it's really tricky because for the Virgo types, the first 18 years of life, you're young and hormones are starting to rage. And then they're continuing to rage up until age 37. And those are like the prime growth years and years of procreation and merger, where people start to date and have relationships and even get married and have sex and make babies and have joint bank accounts and mortgages shared. Imagine that when you get married and you have a joint finances, joint taxes, your name's on a mortgage with them, your name's on a car payment with them, your name's in bank accounts with the other person, your name's on credit cards and credit scores with other people. That could be great when it's working properly, but it can be an absolute nightmare if you are with the wrong person that was just happening out of default or reflexes or was imposed upon you. For example, with this situation, it'd be very easy for the Virgo types to be a victim of, let's say, abuse in relationships. Someone might have seen your immense value and worth and taken advantage of it, knowing that you're a really soft, easy mark. And then you're screwed. So what about this? Let's say you've matured, you realize, like, wait a minute, I've always wanted to be my real self and have full ownership and possession and control of my resources. I'm sick of everything being contingent upon other people. Once you get a tiny taste of that, it feels amazing and you will be drawn in this direction. The thing is that it's very new. It might feel weird. And so the natural tendency is every time you get to a new delicious moment and you start to question yourself, you're going to go, oh, wait a minute, I'm pushing it too far. I don't have the right to be me. I'm going to go back to my crappy, mediocre default settings over here with relationship dynamics that aren't working for me anymore. And then you go back and that's comfortable. That's how I grew up. And then you realize, wait a minute, I don't have to. That's just default. That's just reflex behavior. That's conditioning. It's my environment. That's how I was raised. What about me? What about my independence, my rights to be me, put me first in who I select to share my divine resources and energy? Wouldn't that be amazing? And then you feel liberty, you feel freedom, and you are the one who takes charge. If someone comes up to you and says, hey, listen, Virgo, I've noticed that looks like you're doing really well. Have you considered investing? Have you opened a proper savings account? Have you considered putting all your money into this financial management program? Or, by the way, you're really, really cute, and I notice that you've worked very, very hard as a diligent Virgo, and you've grown out of certain older relationships, and you look very attractive to me, and it doesn't hurt too much that you're loaded, and you've got money and a job, and you're healthy. Hey, you want to go out with me? And you look at the other person and go like, and you can go to them, and you can just quietly say to yourself, F off. I know you're just after me for sex and my money. I don't do that anymore. F off. And then you can hand them the rejection number. Hello. I had a joke with a friend of mine today. So I think it was back about 20 years ago. There was this craze in LA where there's so many gorgeous women in LA, and of course there's lots of male predators. So there's this constant never-ending hustle, and yet LA's the capital of singles. And so when the girls get hustled and they are not, what happens is the guy says, hey, can I have your number? And she says, yeah, all right, yeah, you can have my number. And she writes down the number on a napkin or something, or a card or whatever, or on the guy's hand with a little heart. Here's my number. Yeah, just give me a call. Give me a few days. I've got stuff to do, but yeah, just give me a call. We'll see where it goes. And so the guy goes off thinking, he leaves the bar, And he's like in his early 30s or something, and you, the Virgo, are in your prime. Let's say you're female, okay? And the guy says, okay, I'm going to give her a call. Hey, guys, look at this. I got the girl's phone number. Ha, ha, ha. You didn't get that, did you? And the other guys are all jealous, like, oh, how did you do it, man? And he says, well, just watch this. So he calls up the number. And the phone picks up. And the phone says, hello. You have reached the rejection line. Whoever gave you this phone number has rejected you. Get used to it. Goodbye. And the guy freaks out, like, what the? Nobody treats me like that. And of course the girl is long gone by then. And, because sexual predators can be very aggressive. And sometimes it helps to just give yourself a little bit of space if you're one of those girls who's constantly being chased. So that's what I'm saying here. Give yourself the chance to be in charge, where you're the boss about how you decide where you share your deepest, most valuable personal resources. And that includes your money and your DNA and your body and your skills and your talents. Okay? I hope I didn't scare you too much, Virgo. By the way, typically the North Node journey becomes more delicious and more comfortable and makes a lot more sense after the age of 37. Okay, so I don't know where you are in your life, but just think about it that way. In the meantime, okay, let me say farewell, but please again watch the primer video. It's called Aries North Node. Please go to that right now if you haven't seen it already. If you want to get private and get a proper reading and so on, like I said earlier, go to terraillumination.com. Please donate. And also, if you want to book a reading, go to the readings page. You can book it there, okay? So, thank you very much. Remember, you're number one. It's time to put yourself first, dear Virgo. That doesn't come easily for you, but now's the opportunity. Take care. Love thyself.